On you, Chris.
Cool. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Fractional, where we talk about business development and lifestyle, and we talk with business leaders and entrepreneurs who have done some cool things, but really, kind of done that in line with living the dream and enjoying life while you can. So today I got Sandy Thorpe on the show. Thanks for coming, Sandy.
Yeah, appreciate you having me.
Sandy is a partner in Parastream Development, and they just won the Coastal Entrepreneurship Awards in the development space. And so we're gonna talk about that and learn a little bit more about Sandy's story and how he's gotten to where he is. So, Sandy, I'll hand it over to you and introduce yourself and go from there.
Sandy Thorpe, been here in Wilmington for a long time. Enjoyed seeing Wilmington grow. Recently started working downtown on some infill projects down in the Soda Pop District. Gotten a lot of recognition. Obviously, the CEA Awards, you were there, which has been good. Yeah. We try and fly under the radar, but it's been, all press is good press.
That's right.
One of those things.
And so being there at the awards, one of the things you guys said, which I thought was really cool, is that you're typically, developers are not necessarily looked at as entrepreneurial aspect, but what you guys have done is you're taking a really entrepreneurial, approach to development and urban development. And so tell us a little bit about, first let's talk about what do you guys have, what's your footprint, and then, kind of what you guys are doing.
So, right now, concentrated down in the Soda Pop District, which we did not start. Credit of that goes to Dan Brawley with Kukaloris. He's been down there for 20 years. Him, Folks Cafe, a couple other businesses that have been there for 20-some years.
Yep.
We parceled together a bunch of parcels. Andy, my partner, he came in and bought High Wire probably about 3 years ago now.
Yep.
Which kind of catapulted the whole neighborhood over there.
Yeah, totally.
It was one of those things, once they did it, once you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
We saw that there. They hold events. They have over 1,200 people at some of their events, which is impressive for an 8,000 square foot brewery.
Heck yeah.
So then parceled together, I think it's about 21 parcels total. So we have 3.5 city blocks down there, 5 buildings, and basically our phase 1 is the adaptive reuse. Is what both of us have always kind of been focused on. Andy down from Charleston, that was his focus down there, property management, and then looking at adaptive reuse with the old buildings. Me here I was more in the residential real estate, looking at fixing up old buildings or old houses, looking at the commercial aspect, and then, as he looked at coming here, he knew he was going to move here. We drove around and just look at stuff, write addresses down.
Mm-hmm.
Spend afternoons, take a beer break, go back out, keep looking, and
some business development, checking out the local restaurants and breweries.
Exactly. That's part of it. We do a lot of business development, or business development, research development, whatever you want to call it. We do a lot of it. But that kind of catapulted, his acquisition of the High Wiring, him getting them here, catapulted our whole, neighborhood over there.
Yep.
So right now we're 92% full. We have Bowstring Brew Yard about to open. They're out of Raleigh. They're going to open up probably, you'll see in the next 3 weeks or so.
Yeah.
We've got the Abby McGee and Matt Ray from the Starling Bar going to open up a new bar here probably about Labor Day.
Mm-hmm.
So those will kind of be the traffic drivers. We've got a artisan market run by Bethany Carpenter with the Panoma Shrubs. Beach and Barn is down there. They do full distribution and a retail. Patriot Roofings. We cater a lot to the movie studios. We've got a guy in there who converts old school buses into RVs. And he's a new tenant, but he's rocking and rolling down there. So we look for these cool, eclectic small businesses to come be part of a community down there. And not just these people get lost in an industrial park. So we're trying to cater to this warehouse that's in the middle of downtown.
Yeah, for people that haven't been there, I was down there for a little tour, and I swear, we walk through, and every room I go into, I think I said that's cool or that's awesome 500 times. It's I don't know what else to say. It's really freaking cool what you guys are doing.
There's a lot of cool people doing a lot of cool things down there, and we're creating spaces for more of that to be part of this community.
So when you think about being a developer, it's I take this and I build something, but like you said, you guys are building an ecosystem and a little environment to support small business development, right?
That's So any real estate developer is looking for, we want credible tenants. We also want stability.
Yep.
But also, there's the creative edge to it and being downtown. So you look for the happy medium and mitigate your risk by trying to have a little bit of both.
Right.
So, we've got spaces. We created these small retail spaces that are between 300 and 500 square feet.
Yeah.
So these people have a chance to come have a small storefront and be a part of the whole neighborhood.
Right.
And then we've got 13,000 square foot sections for, bigger warehouse users that are more long-term. We've got a roofer in there, Bay Street Roofing. So, we've got a little mixture of both.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And then, so you said, kind of build it and they will come, and on that philosophy, like and then as a developer, you kind of have like a plan, but it's not like a for sure thing going to happen.
No, it's ever changing.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. So, we'll get the buildings to a certain point and then look for a tenant, but then, help getting it to where they want it to be.
Yeah.
So on the tenant upfit side, building it and they will come, it worked once we had Hawaii there.
Yeah.
We saw the vision.
Yeah.
People wanting next to a successful business. So
right.
we saw people, other breweries, restaurants, people kind of pile in on top of that. We got the pizza place in front of High Wire, obviously Bowstring, which I mentioned. We have one more restaurant space, which is 4,000 square feet that we're looking for kind of our next step up. So that'll be kind of the next project looking at.
Awesome. So, you start with one, and then you said you parceled together like 21 different parcels, right?
Yeah, so we have some vacant land that had a bunch of random parcels in it. And we're looking at that as kind of phase 2. So phase 1 was like buildings we have, adaptive reuse, create the spaces, at least get it to a shell. So that we're about finished up with that. The Ibis Bar with Abby and Matt will probably be that one in the restaurant. Our last restaurant space will be kind of phasing out of phase 1.
Yeah.
And then looking at phase 2 is more the ground up. So we have a couple infill projects as well as maybe some sort of living component over there as well.
Got it.
So the living component, that block was multiple residential parcels at one point. Coca-Cola had torn down all the houses, so it's just a bunch of lots.
Oh my gosh.
So we got about 18 parcels on that.
So did one person own all this stuff, or did you have to go and find the owners of everything and like negotiate and try to buy it?
When Coke sold it, which probably 2012, 15, somewhere right around there, sold it to a gentleman here. He had looked at doing a couple things, didn't quite work out. He had assembled, or he had just bought it off from Coke and assembled one other parcel.
Yep.
That's on Market Street, and then this whole acquisition was one acquisition from one guy.
Yep.
But that being said, was still short on time. It was short on time, a lot of moving parts, and then looking back, it's two of us.
Yeah.
So we're a 2-man show. So it was a lot going on.
Yeah.
It was a fire drill for 6 months for sure.
Oh my gosh.
We took about a month off after that. Kind of sat back and took a deep breath.
Yeah, and just kind of like enjoy like, hey, we got it done, right?
Yeah, it was one of those. I think our wives appreciated a little bit. They got some attention after that. So,
was it kind of like an oh shit moment? It's like, all right, we bought this. Now it's like, oh, now we've got to like execute and like we got a big nut to cover, or you guys feeling pretty good about it at that point?
Yeah, you get to the lawyer's office, you start signing papers.
Yeah.
It hits you pretty hard then.
Yeah, you're like, oh.
You signing next couple of years of your life away. So, we knew we had to execute. I mean, time is money and everything.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's been a changing environment in the economic side.
Yeah.
So, interest rates changing. We've seen a huge influx since we closed in 2021. So, in 2 years, we've seen interest rates climb.
Yep.
Not just for us, but also prospective tenants. And that's credible established tenants as well. Having to go get financing, and it's getting tough.
Yeah.
So, and then we've seen, we hit right when the construction out of COVID just boomed.
Yep.
So we
got prices going through. We
had hard bids. They were up 40% from 3 months during due diligence.
So so when you guys were doing your diligence, you were expecting this, and now it's
our contingency was eaten up pretty quickly there.
Yeah.
But that being said, we figured it out. Those are just the moving parts you got to figure out.
That's awesome, man.
So
I mean that's business, that's life, right?
Yeah.
It's you have a plan, do as much diligence and planning as you can, but the one thing that's always certain is that things are going to change, right?
You got to adapt and evolve.
That's right.
I mean, it's just how it works, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, all right, so let's go back now and learn about your story, because I want to hear what you've done, like how you got to this point where all of a sudden you're like a developer owning like this like super sweet spot. So where'd you go to college? What'd you do after college? Tell us the story.
Grew up here in Wilmington. Went down to Ole Miss for a little bit. Had a great time. Then went and got my captain's license. That was right about after the recession. So I graduated high school in 07, college. Andy and I are about the same age. So both out of school. Jobs are few and far between.
Did you know Andy back in college?
No, I didn't. But same age. So jobs are few and far between at that point. And not the jobs that everybody loves to do.
Yeah, exactly.
So I went and got my captain's license. Grew up here on the water. Boating has always been a big thing. Got my captain's license, went and lived in the Bahamas, worked on boats for 7 years. Been here in the Bahamas. It provided me some free time when I was up here. So I'd gone to get my real estate license. And when I was here, poking around a little bit at it, then my dad had been in development here as well, and just had always had an interest in it. So, it was one of those things that always been on my mind wanting to do, but was still traveling on the boats. My life was boats. Had been in the brokerage business. You had helped out in some brokerage stuff as well.
Yeah.
So did that for a little bit. Kind of realized a little bit of the financing and trading side, like y'all were doing over there at Off the Hook, but kind of led me to the real estate, the bigger picture. More of an asset that lasts a little bit longer. Than a boat. So had an interest.
Depreciating asset.
It doesn't depreciate as quickly.
That's right.
So I always had an interest in it. It was one of those things. So Andy and I met. It was New Year's Eve in Charleston, years ago. So his wife and my sister grew up here together.
Got it.
After that, hit it off pretty good.
Yeah.
I think he realized that they were going to move to Wilmington at some point. So it was like when they would come up here, like I said earlier, we'd get in the car, we'd drive around and write down. I've still got some of these papers in my office of like addresses. We'd go write down like anything that had hair on it and looked like that nobody wanted to touch. So I've still got these lists, like stacks of papers that we would do driving around, and then we'd sit there and email overnight of what we found about the owner, where they are, like stuff about the house.
So is it like residential
at that
starting,
point,
or just a little bit?
At that point, we're looking at like this was pre-COVID, so I mean anything that had some hair on it, like people want to touch commercial, multifamily, like smaller multifamily, resident. I mean single family. We weren't scared of any of it. Just kind of looking around.
Got it.
And growing up here, downtown, like, and especially my parents' generation, you went to church downtown, and then you came back. There were a couple of cool restaurants, but it's not what it is now.
Right, exactly.
And Andy coming from Charleston and him spending, 12 years down there, he saw a lot of similarities in these neighborhoods and these districts that they saw that popped up in Charleston. So the south front had kind of been semi-established down there by Tribute. The cargo district was kind of on the rise, this was 5 years ago. Was kind of figuring out what they had going on. Then,
right.
I mean, it wasn't what it is now. And this section over here, Andy's the one who saw the potential in it. He saw something that he had seen, down the road in Charleston that had just flourished over a couple of years. So that was kind of, that's when he chased down the high wire building and got that. That was right at the beginning of COVID.
Right.
So that was kind of how Andy and I got to come together on this project. Him figuring out how to get high wire here, get that building up and going, and then looking at the big picture of the whole neighborhood.
Yeah. That's wild.
Yeah, I mean it's now it's almost 8 acres, 3.5 city blocks. So like I said, we have 17 businesses we brought to the area so far. And honestly, like the majority of them, women-led businesses as well.
Yeah. We've
got over half of them are women-led.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some cool stuff going on down there.
It's
time
cool.
To be in Wilmington.
There'll be room for a lot more growth. We're, like I said, getting past stage 1, looking at phase 2, but just taking a step back to look at the big picture again.
I hear you. That's awesome.
You get focused, one track mind on one thing. So, starting to figure out to step back and look at the big picture again.
So if I'm like, younger kid. I'm, 18, 19, 20. I'm going through college. Maybe I just finished college. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. Man, I want to be a developer. Like, I want to be like these guys. So should I go get my captain's license? Is that how you get there?
I would say I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do, to be honest.
Hey, yeah, absolutely.
This is one of those things that when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, it's something that my father-in-law told me. He's like, don't look for a job, look for an opportunity.
There you go.
So, don't look for, just one job that you want to do forever. Look for the opportunity, because you can always go find another opportunity.
Yep.
And keep building on that.
Interesting way to look at it.
So
I like that.
He's in the development world also, so it was just one of those things. Smart guy, but that was one thing that I've really taken to heart, is take a chance to look at every opportunity.
Yeah.
Not as the job though.
And then you kind of having like some background, like with your family, like in that space, like I guess you kind of like grew up with some of that, like just that was kind of part of.
I mean, originally from Eastern North Carolina, small town, so it was one of those things like all the families own little businesses and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was always of interest to me. I've always been interested in basically space making. We like to create cool spaces.
Yeah. Cool
spaces and attract the interesting, the cool tenants that drive traffic.
Yeah. So like, going from college to traveling down to the Bahamas, captaining, being in the boat business, now you're under contract to buy all this property.
Yeah.
And, going through due diligence, what was some of the stuff that you learned? Because I mean, there's some there's law, there's finance, there's all sorts of different aspects that you have to figure out. And tell us about how you navigated that.
I mean, there's multiple ways to do it. There's also, I think best solution is to hire the people who do it professionally.
There you go.
Get the environmental groups that you can trust, the lawyers that you have a good relationship with.
Mm-hmm.
Brokers are involved. Make sure there's somebody who's present and a part of the situation. There was a lot going on, and like I said earlier, there was two of us.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we did it all, the two of us. So I mean, it just takes a lot of coordination, organization on everybody's part, and then being able to work together and make sure we're not stepping on each other's toes.
Yeah. Communication, I'm sure,
Oh, yeah. I mean, at that point, we didn't have an office. We had a container in the high wire parking lot. So we were stealing high wire's internet. At 3 o'clock, we'd be going into high wire. All our meetings were after 3, so we could go in and have beers.
Yeah.
And have people down there that was our meeting space, because it was a 10 by 12 container that we had set out there. And so we were on the phone, with each other 5-6 times a day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just keeping each other in the loop of what was going on each other's side. So, obviously different duties split up, but yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What I read in a lot of business books and, just from other people that have been leaders and started businesses, is that it's all about the team that you put around you, right?
Correct.
You find people that are better at, that are experts in certain fields, and you bring that team together. And I guess, that's basically what you guys did.
Yeah. Credit Andy with putting the core team together, which was me, and then we have 2 other partners that are on the capital side.
Yep.
Putting the core group together, and then, it was all about connections and referrals and figuring out who was the best fit for what, and create relationships with them. So, when the next project comes along, we can call them.
Yeah.
And they'll be there for us because they enjoy being a part of a big project.
Yep. I've seen and heard of, there's business folks out there that are just known as hardline business guys, shysters, they always win.
Yeah, real estate sharks.
Yeah. They're the ones that always win. But, my philosophy is, is relationships, right?
100%.
It's everything, it's got to be a mutually beneficial deal, or else someone's going to be pissed off at someone, and someone's going to win, someone's going to lose, and that's not a good, sustainable way.
You've been in Wilmington long enough to know that this town is based off relationships.
That's right. Yeah.
Small town. Growing town, but small town feel.
Yeah.
Everybody knows everybody. If you don't, it's only degree or two of separation.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not hard to figure out anything or get to know somebody.
Yeah.
So I'm a big person in relationships.
Yeah.
Personal person, like to sit down with them and not just meet them on an email. Like rather go sit down and have a conversation.
Absolutely. I think we're a little bit alike like that, a little kind of old school. It's like, I'm terrible. Like we were joking, like you're terrible at text messaging.
100%. Like
I'm terrible at social media, like emails, whatever. I'm just like, let's like, we could like if we could just go and meet each other and like talk for 30 minutes or an hour, like the amount that you can accomplish
absolutely
over a phone call or even like a Zoom. It's it's just like I'm just like an in-person person, like that's what.
I mean, we grabbed beers the other day, and I think we accomplished more than that than we've accomplished anything in our text message.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's definitely for sure. So, I was telling you. So Natalie and I, we lived in Europe for a couple years.
Yeah,
and. The art, the architecture, the city planning, the way people live over there is so much different than the way we live in like the majority of the U.S.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, like we were living in Zurich, and it's like what was the normal aspect was you had mixed use. Like you have you have businesses and coffee shops on the bottom.
Commercial aspect downstairs. Everybody's living in apartments upstairs.
And everybody's living upstairs. And then those folks, most people, like everybody lives in an apartment, but then they have like a mountain house or like a cottage somewhere, and like that's where they go away for the weekend. Yeah, like a little retreat. And here in America, it's like, I live out in the suburbs. I drive 30 miles to go to work, and
everybody wants the flat downtown for the weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the opposite.
So there's only so much space left in Wilmington. In many places, like they're not making any more land. That's a damn fact.
We're an ice cream cone from Carolina Beach up to Hampstead to where 140 is. So I mean, river cuts us off. Yeah, exactly right.
So that in mind, like how do you you guys? You were talking about some like residential kind of mixed use. Mm-hmm. So like, have some of that type of like development in the plan where it's like work and live kind of deal, or what are your thoughts on that?
Looking at what we own downtown is, like I said, 3.5 city blocks. We got the breweries, got the restaurants. I mean, it sounds cheesy, but work, live, play is kind of like the philosophy.
No, it's real,
it sounds
man.
so cheesy. It's like the farmhouse signs you see in a house.
Yeah.
But we've got an opportunity to really, really produce this. We're the largest UMX owner in Wilmington.
Yep.
Or contiguous UMX owner in Wilmington.
What's UMX?
So urban mixed use. That's downtown. That's the zoning we have.
Okay.
So, we've got an opportunity to produce on the commercial aspect, the playing aspect, the office aspect, the living aspect, and working on pulling all this together. We're not ground up multifamily developers. We're not your mixed use developers. So, like going back to pulling in the experts for that, we'll probably pull in the experts to come do that in either our partnership or pulling in the right person for that.
Yeah.
But I mean, we look for the infill, the projects that are already there, the adaptive reuse.
I'm sorry, I should have asked this earlier, not because I'm ignorant in this. Explain what infield projects are.
So, I mean, basically just, parcels that have been skipped over downtown. I mean, mostly we've been looking at downtown, so mostly just, we've got some one-off lots down there where we'll put an office building. We might put some Airbnbs down there or some sort of studio apartments.
So it's like a vacant piece of land between some like existing.
It's not like what you're seeing down on Oleander with apartments or these big apartment deals.
Got it. Okay.
Or planned urban developments. So you got these planned developments where you got these single family homes coming up in a planned development. We're looking for the one-off, the niches downtown.
That's so cool. Yeah, I mean, like when you think about it, you guys like really have the opportunity to shape. I mean, really, it sounds kind of cheesy as well, but like really to kind of shape the future of what's going on where we live. I mean, that's freaking wild, man.
There was a new land development code that got put in place during our due diligence, which had been in the works for like 17 years or something like that. Mm-hmm. And it was one of those things we had to work through to preserve some of our rights. And also, the city's got a chance to make us the poster child for UMX because going back and...
You guys would look good on a poster. I've seen a couple of them too.
Not necessarily that. We're just saying like, the project as a whole, we've got the opportunity to, to use us as the model for what they want to see downtown become. Because, like I said earlier, we're the largest contiguous UMX landholder downtown.
Yeah.
So, they've got an opportunity to use us to try and create these districts and what they really want them to be.
So what's that dynamic? Because you have like the county commission is oversees the code, right? Is that or
so city? This is the Wilmington land.
Okay, we're in city. Yeah. City.
So this was through the zoning office. They just redid this code, a very comprehensive code. I mean, we went to the office. They pulled out a binder, and that thing was 8 inches thick.
Sure, you read every word, huh?
And we looked up the sections that pertain to us.
Yeah.
But there were some things that they didn't want to see a user come in the Coke building again, or they didn't want to see a large user come in, and we had to figure out a common ground on square footage to save that light industrial use.
Right.
Which, if we hadn't preserved that building was a scrap, and it was a very expensive scrap to do that. And then you got to figure out ground up, what are you going to do? And then that's when you start getting the multifamily guys coming in, just building, 6-story apartments, all kinds of stuff. So, if you have 4 blocks of 6-story apartments there, it would be kind of weird in that area.
Yep.
But that being said, that was a hard hurdle for us to work on. A time-consuming hurdle.
Yeah. So, I mean, is there are you guys kind of working together with the city? Like they're taking input from you guys, or are they here it is, y'all figure it out. This is what we.
They've been great to work with.
Awesome.
I mean, great feedback. They have great reception on our project. The mayor's been down a couple of times. He loves that the city commissioners have been down.
That helps, yeah.
Good relationship with the zoning, with the zoning office as well. They like to come down and come check out what's going on. So we've had a very good relationship with them throughout the whole process.
Yeah.
And I think, they're excited to see what's going on. They've been excited about the cargo district. They've been excited about South Front. I think they're excited to see another little parcel of downtown, another neighborhood of downtown pop up.
Yeah. And I mean, it's because you guys are doing good work. You're doing good stuff. It's more than, obviously, there's financial aspects. We're all running a business, right?
Yeah.
But it's value add. It's for the community, and you're helping other businesses start businesses, right?
I think everybody over there at the city, I mean, honestly, the community as a whole was tired of looking at dilapidated buildings in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
Because there was one owner, and he just wasn't making. He was spinning wheels, wasn't getting traction, and I think that everybody was glad to see something happen.
Yeah.
There are always this handful of people that don't think anything is. They don't like change. They don't want to see anything change.
Yeah.
I think now they see it's probably for the better and have accepted it.
Yep.
But in the beginning, everybody was skeptical of what was going to happen, and we've been very transparent on our plan from day one of what we're going to do. And we've held community meetings. We've been a part of them. Dan Brawley's had us over there to have neighbors come in. We've met with them and the city all in one room.
Yep. And
been extremely transparent about our plan and what we're going to do. And for the most part, everybody's on board and everybody loves it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then when you do what you say you're going to do, you start to build more trust, right?
Correct.
And then you get some more momentum and people are like, all right, we're on board with this.
Yeah. I mean, we really don't. I think it was the very beginning. Everybody was skeptical of first, we didn't really go out and say, hey, we put this under contract. It was kind of you hear people talking about it over a beer or something, hey, somebody put that stuff under contract. Yeah. We were pretty quiet about it there for a while.
That's cool.
I think people were skeptical on who it was, what the plan was,
yep.
What it was going to be, because there had been a lot of rumors floating around for a while.
I bet.
And, not everybody knew who Andy and I were. And then we came out and told them what our plan was, and basically was to keep the old buildings, which people have loved to see.
Yep.
This 1920 buildings down there. There's a lot of history you can't get back. They are torn down.
Exactly.
So, phase one is to save those, preserve those, put the right people in them who are going to take care of them.
That's awesome. I dig it. So I got to tell you a little story, because I don't know really anything about development, zoning, all this stuff. And, so my wife and I bought some land down in Seabreeze down near Carolina Beach, 2019. And that was kind of my first, legit real estate. I'd bought a house before, but, I actually was buying raw land, and then we were going to build a home on it. So I'm going through this process. I'm doing surveys, working with, different people. And it really opened my eyes to I'm learning, this is kind of what it is. And, And then, we built a house, and that was a whole, experience of, learning. But then the story I really want to tell is, like, a year ago, there's and Seabreeze is still like kind of like an untouched little spot. I mean, it's pretty sweet, man. Like, we live in the woods on the water. Like, it's,
you can't beat that.
That's
pretty, North Carolina right there.
Yeah, it's beautiful, man. But there's like there's like 3 parcels of land that are kind of like in the, that are untouched, and it's in the middle, and it's like, that's part of why we love living down there. But these developers came in and they put it under contract, and they went, and I was learning all about this. They went to the county and they wanted to do a straight rezone from, like, it was like low density. I forget what it was, like R5,
R15 or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. It was like low density, single
family.
Yeah, single family homes. Like, that's what it's zoned as. And they wanted to do a straight rezone to, like, high density. Mm-hmm. And that was my first, like, experience of, like, no, like, we're not, this is crazy. You want to come in and build a bunch of apartments in this, like, beautiful part of town. And so we got the community together. We went to the county commission hearing, and we had, like, this huge, like, the whole neighborhood was there to, like, speak out against it. And they basically were like, no, you guys can't do this. Yeah. And that was, like, my first experience to, like, I guess a little bit of the world that you live in, and, some of that kind of development.
I mean, we've got a lot of high density stuff going on in Wilmington.
Yeah.
People like to see it, but they don't want it in their backyard as well.
I know, and that's exactly right. I was like, man, I'm totally a NIMBY right now.
I mean, you read about this. I read about Chris Curry or Steph Curry the other day.
Yeah.
And he was there's a big development trying to go in his backyard, and he's fighting it extremely hard.
And he's got plenty of money.
But he's sitting there fighting it because he doesn't want to see it in his backyard. But,
yep. But it's got to go. I mean, it's got to go somewhere.
I mean, it's kind of this double-edged sword. Like, everybody says, we need more housing in Wilmington. We need more housing. We need more living.
Yep.
Whether it's affordable housing, apartments, single family, whatever it might be.
And it's not even affordable, is it? I mean,
it's kind of one of those double-edged swords. Like, we need housing regardless.
Yeah.
Affordable, not affordable. You need it all.
Yeah.
And we've got an influx of people coming here, but people want to see it. They don't want it. They don't want it in their backyard. They want to live the North Carolina dream, the country. In the woods by the water.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is tough, because it's kind of like you're arguing that you need it, but you don't want to be able to see it.
Yeah.
So where do you put it?
Yep. It's man. I've always, like, I've never talking about politics or anything, but. But, like, I mean, it's like impossible, like, being a developer and, like, being part of these conversations, it's impossible to not get into, politics, right? I mean, what's that dynamic like,
I mean, politics play a big role in it. Elections play a big role in it. Especially, right now, we're doing everything about right. So, and everybody appreciates that. So, we don't have to go to rezonings. We're not doing that stuff. But, I mean, we've got smart commissioners, we got smart councilmen.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what happens election season.
Yeah.
In the next couple of years. I mean, including all the way up to the president.
Yeah. Definitely.
So I mean, the climate might change. We'll see.
Yeah.
But it does play a role. It plays a role in everybody's business, not just developers. It plays a role in the whole economic. Everybody in the whole economic landscape.
Yeah. Oh man. No, that's Yeah, that's a whole nother world, a whole nother conversation.
Yeah. I mean, religion, politics.
Yeah, we're staying away from that stuff on here,
Thanksgiving dinner right now.
Yeah.
Stay away from that.
Yeah, we're staying away from that. But all right. So we've got. You said you're at about like 9. You said you're 92%.
So yeah, we're right around 92% as a project whole. We're backfilling. We got a couple of warehouse sections coming up soon where we've got signed lease, like I said, with the bar up front. We've got one more retail that we're working through right now. Mm-hmm. With the demand on retail, we'll probably create some more. We've got another opportunity in the Cook building to create, to do some more adaptive reuse, to take the warehouse and turn them into, retail sections or something like that.
Right.
Just got to feel the demand out, because there was such a demand for warehouse in the beginning, and now we're seeing this demand for small retail. So
yeah. Tell me about how you guys kind of like underwrite prospective like tenants. Because like I'm sure you got people coming out of the woodwork, like I want this, I want that. Like what are some of the things that you look at like that's a good tenant?
So To start with that, we look at vacancy rates across the board in Wilmington to see what there is. And warehouse has been a hot topic. Warehouse industrial has been a hot topic in the Wilmington area for a long time. In downtown Wilmington, there is none.
Right.
We're one of the few buildings actually considered downtown. That being said, your large industrial users, it's not your typical warehouse. It's more like, we call it urban flex.
Right.
Because we kind of dub that term ourselves because, we're downtown, but we have this opportunity to have warehouse or retail up front, warehouse in the back.
Yep.
And then, going to look at tenants, we've got this mixed use. And like I said earlier, it was like mitigating risk. Like you got your really stable, established tenants that we're putting in there.
Mm-hmm.
We've also got these, small businesses in there. So figuring out, you can't put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah, that's right. Diversification.
Got to diversify. Smaller sections do help mitigate risk, but also we want to fill these big sections. We want to keep these big sections because, who knows when somebody's going to need 13,000 square feet.
Right.
And having these big sections, flexibility has kind of been like our best friend. Is how can we section off smaller sections but keep it flexible?
Mm-hmm.
Like if we need to take a wall down or take a fence down or something to make a bigger section.
So when you're looking, let's say you've got a couple tenants and they're looking for 11,000 square foot of space, right? So they come in, you've got a little bit of not a shell, but you've got kind of an infrastructure to start with. And then from there, it's kind of do you guys work together on a build out, or is that on the tenant, or how does that discussion go?
Multiple ways. There's a base rate.
Yep.
As is. You can take it, do what you want. Sign a 3, 5, 7, 10-year lease.
Okay.
And that's what you want. We've got the ability to get involved with certain tenants, and not all tenants. We can't do it with everybody, but certain tenants, we've got the ability to get involved. Mostly retail, restaurants is where we really get involved. And we're open to put some money into certain things. So we got to look at, obviously, financials, that kind of thing.
So you'll ask them for their, for some financials.
We like to see P&Ls or just any kind of personal financials, what they've got going on.
Yeah.
It's not like we can just go give money to everybody.
Right, exactly. Yeah, for sure.
It's one of those things if they've got a good idea and we believe in it, we're very opportunistic people. Yeah. Andy and I both, we like to be involved. We're only as good as our tenants are. Mm-hmm. So, if we create a space, it's kind of, half-assed. Yeah. The tenant's not going to do good. But right. if you go all out and don't skip corners, it's going to be a good space. They're going to survive. They're going to exceed and hopefully grow is the plan. Yeah. Especially expand into one of our other spaces is what we're looking for.
Yep. Yeah, because, the business does good, other businesses do well, everybody's happy, the environment's
it's the hot tide there. Everybody floats on a hot tide.
That's right.
So it's it's good. It even brings the little guys up who are new in business. Yeah. And then the older guys, or the established guys, they can expand, and like I said, hopefully in one of our buildings.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That's awesome, man. So what's the next 3 years look like for Parastream?
So, this was an opportunity for Andy and I to team up together. So, history on Parastream as a company was Andy was Paramount Real Estate and Development out of Charleston. I had Downstream Ventures, which was a holdings company that I used for assets, flipping houses, that kind of thing. Right. Merged Parastream. Yeah. So Parastream, it was a good fit for this company, and this wasn't opportunity of a lifetime to have 8 acres downtown.
Yeah, man.
And doesn't come across desk often, and also big undertaking for one person. So it seemed to be a good fit. Yeah. We are, we're at a point where we're starting to look for other projects now. It's been one track mind, straight and arrow focus on the Coke, on not just the Coke building, but the whole area. So I think now we're getting to the point where we'd love to start look at something else, come back, look at this, and say, all right, we got the big, took our mind off it, look back at the big picture. Yeah. What we're going to do over here. Yeah. So I think, as Parastream or Downstream or Paramount, we're always looking for our niche, which is the infill or the adaptive reuse and the opportunity. So, people who have whole family buildings or buildings that they see opportunities in, don't quite know how to do it.
Yep.
Yeah, we're happy to partner up or help walk through that whole process.
Yeah, no, that's a great way to put it. It's like, I've got this really cool building. I don't really know anything about development. I don't know how to navigate. So it's a partnership. It's like, hey, this is what we do. You guys have the.
That's one of the things. Like Andy and I both open to partnering with people on projects, and they might not know what to do, and bring us on to help them walk through it, or to or if they just see opportunity, they just want to get out. Like there's a conversation there as well.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
It's really one of those things. Like there's no correct way to look at any project. Yeah. We were talking about structures the other day. I was asking you about it. There's not one structure that's the standard issue.
Right.
Every deal is different. Everything's different, and I mean, some work, some don't work.
Yeah.
Some things you always look at and be like, well, this didn't work this time. It might work on this deal.
Yeah. That's a fun way to live. I think like every day's a little bit different. Every project's a little bit different. You're always learning, and kind of like, with my business where I get to work with a lot of small businesses is that I get that, it's like I get to work on different stuff. I mean, I'm doing kind of the same thing every day, but I'm doing it differently every day. And then, we've got a problem, that we're trying to solve over.
There's a problem every day.
Yeah.
In our world, I don't know about your world, but there's something that comes up every day.
Yeah. Well, that's what I really tell people, like, they're like, so what do you do? I'm like, we're problem solvers. That's
100%.
That's what we do. Yeah. We're problem solvers, and we're your business. We're built on relationships. Like, we want to come out, we want to meet you, we want to shake your hand, we want to learn about your business.
Yeah.
We want to learn about what your personal goals are as well, because at the end of the day, like, I have a job and income so that I can go do the stuff that I want to do, right? Like,
absolutely.
I'm not working because I like to work all the time, and I guess I'm pretty fortunate that I truly do enjoy what I do, and I can tell you guys really enjoy what you guys do.
We're both excited about it, and going back to the research and development, that's part of what we both really love is going to try the restaurants, check out the bars, and also going to the side that you were just talking about, getting to meet the people who run these businesses, getting to meet the restaurateurs, the chefs, the bartenders, everybody down who the employees who work there. So it really is cool to meet the community, even outside of this market, the Raleigh market, the Charleston market, the Charlotte market, other markets that we're going to look at.
Yeah.
It's neat to meet people out there, get their take on, because those are all bigger markets than us. Mm-hmm. Get their take on what's going on. Mm-hmm. They've all got, Wilmington's on a lot of people's eyes. Not just tenant-based, but also housing-based, development-based, everything. There's a lot of people looking at Wilmington, which has been, it's been a good thing because it reassures us that we're in a good place, but it's also like, all right, gotta look, the opportunities now.
And that's what I was going to ask was, are you guys thinking about, venturing outside the Wilmington area? It sounds like you guys are looking.
Yeah, I mean, I've, got ties to small towns in Eastern North Carolina, just being from up there. And I think there's potential in all these towns. And
definitely.
I mean, you see the migration patterns don't change. Everybody's moving from up north, especially pandemic really like lit a fire under that. Mm-hmm. People came down, hurricane came, they moved halfway back. North Carolina, South Carolina are a great spot.
Yep.
So I think
that's right.
So I think we're seeing, we're seeing the community grow as a whole. But also, like that means that these people are going back there. They're telling people, telling their aunts, telling their uncles, family members are moving here. Yep. People are trying to bring businesses here, open them here, which is great. It helps with the ecosystem.
Yeah, I've been lucky to be part of the Chamber of Commerce and do some work with them. And one of the huge topics that they're really the front runner of right now is kind of branding Wilmington as this place where it's not just a vacation place. It's not just like a retirement community. Yeah. We've got thriving, great businesses here, and we're trying to put Wilmington on the map as a place where there's a lot of cool shit going on.
I mean, Wilmington's on the map. It's like,
you're right. Yeah,
everybody you talk to, they're like, we want Wilmington is on a lot of people's next place to open the restaurant, bring the business to, or open a satellite office or whatever it might be. Yeah, it's coming.
Yeah,
it's coming. But you know, that what comes with that is going back to the housing. You know, going back to the space making. Like, what we're gonna do, just like in Europe, everybody's gonna live in a mixed use building at some point.
Yeah,
so,
I don't know.
You know, I don't necessarily think that's the right fit for North Carolina, but
I don't think so either.
It'll we'll see how it all plays out.
That's awesome, man. Well, just kind of wrapping up here in our last 2 minutes. You know, you said, you know, one of the things you said at the end was the opportunity to go and meet people and like learn people, you know, learn different things, get people's different perspectives. And, you know, as you're saying that, I was kind of realizing like this is really like a driving factor on why I wanted to start this podcast. Was because like it's a great excuse to like find somebody that I want to like, who like that guy's cool, like I want to like talk to him, but it like he's like, nah, I'm too busy for you. But it's like, hey, like come on the podcast. All of a sudden I've got this platform where I get to meet really cool people, talk to cool people, like learn a lot of cool stuff.
I mean, it's a great platform. You're doing great. Like I said earlier, first podcast I've ever been on.
Yeah, man, dude, you're killing it. You're made for this.
No, it's been. I mean, it's fun. I look forward to hearing all the other people, our guests you've had on here. I think it'll be fun to hear. It'll be fun to see who else, as it builds and grows, who all you get on here.
Heck yeah, man. And maybe, you know, in a couple of years, if this thing keeps rolling, we'll link back up again and see where we're both at.
Absolutely, whenever.
Heck yeah, man. So if let's say I'm a local business, I'm looking for office space, or I want to talk to somebody about like, you know, how do people get in touch with you? Where do they find you? You got social media, LinkedIn,
so we got
you know,
we have our BottleWorks social media. We have which is BottleWorks ILM.
Okay.
That's on Instagram. We have a Parastream Instagram, which is Parastream.
Yep.
I think reaching out, best way to do it is info@parastreamdev.com. And you know, anybody who's looking for the spaces in the BottleWorks or anything, you know, moving forward, if we see a need for it, we're gonna go find the place and create the space for it.
Heck yeah. Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, thanks a lot for coming on. I really appreciate you kind of taking the leap. I was like, hey, come on. And you're like, what's it about? I was like, don't worry about it. It'll be fine.
I drug out the text messages, and sorry that happened, but glad it all worked out. I appreciate you having me.
Well, thanks, everybody, for tuning into another episode, and thanks, Sandy, for coming on. Go get it, guys. Keep the dream alive. Enjoy life, and go build some stuff.